Host Rebecca Turner. Now don't forget you can listen to Good Things. We are streaming live over at supertalk.fm. We're also streaming from the SuperTalk Mississippi app, and you can always find us too on your local SuperTalk Mississippi radio station. And don't forget to watch us. We are on your computer, your mobile device. Just head on over to SuperTalk TV. You'll see that I'm not alone in the studio this Friday. That always brings me joy. Miss Holly Smith and Miranda Vaughn are with us to talk about Big House Books in Jackson, and they're up to some pretty good things. So welcome, ladies.
Thanks
you.
for having us.
I'm happy to have you guys, and I'm happy to hear that you guys are out there and doing the work you did, because sadly, I felt like I knew somebody maybe doing this, but I had never heard of your organization before, which shame on me, but that's what this is about, right? Like educating people about the opportunities out there and the people doing good work. So who wants to take what Big House Books is and how it got started?
Sure, I can take that. So Big House Books, we are a 501c3 nonprofit organization. We were started about 10 years ago by a group of educators and advocates who saw a need for literacy and educational material in prisons and jails in the state. And so literally they started just collecting books in the trunk of their cars and meeting at like people's houses in their free time and responding to letters that had begun to fill their P.O. box very quickly for people that were incarcerated wanting to read books. And from there, we've expanded, many, many times over the last 10 years. And one unique thing about us is we are 100% volunteer. So we have no full-time staff and no full-time funds. And so we exist just based on the kindness of people wanting to make a difference and, provide books and reading material to Mississippians that are incarcerated.
So, Holly, that first P.O. box that I was getting the letters, was it advertised to the inmates that if you wanted books? So they kind of did like a little PSA, hey, if you're looking for books, then you can send a letter and we will send it back. Were they asking for specific books, or was it more like genre-based?
It really runs the gamut. Some writers get really specific in their requests, and then others are just very general. Just send me what you have. But the way we communicate, and by communicate, I mean really just advertise who we are, is every book that we send into a prison or jail is stamped with our logo, and it also has our address. We also have an informational brochure. So, each package has a brochure about who we are and what we do. And what we have found is that that information travels fast inside the walls of correctional facilities.
So, Miranda, you would think, and of course, this is my so much of my limited knowledge on things I don't know about come from movies. So but I feel like if that's me, then that's other people. And you always see those scenes of there's the librarian that pushes around the cart of the books and like hands out books to inmates or whatever. So I guess it could just lead you to believe like why don't you prison systems or correctional have libraries? Is it not that they don't have them, or is it that just they don't have a wealth built one, or some of both?
Yeah, a little bit of both. A lot of the prisons that we serve do have prison libraries, or they will have a cart that's being pushed around. But I mean, like with many things, very underfunded. A lot of the letters that we get, they'll say, we have a prison library, but it's like law books from the 1970s or something like
Things
that.
Have changed.
Right, exactly. And so it just kind of varies. And one thing that we have thankfully been able to do is help stock some prison libraries. We've had a few prisons reach out to us, and any like overflow and things that we get, we've tried to help stock some of these prison libraries so that they have access to books that way. But yeah, it kind of runs the gamut of whether or not the facilities have a library at all, especially in the smaller like county and local jails and things like that. They usually won't have anything like that.
So Holly, she brought up gosh, when you think of correctional facilities, it's not just your big prisons. I mean, it can go down to your counties, your even smaller ones. So how many, I guess, facilities is Big House Books sort of coordinating with?
So basically every single correctional facility across the state, whether it's a county jail, a work center, a state facility, a regional facility, even the federal jails and private prisons, they are all eligible to reach out to Big House Books to help facilitate getting books into their facilities. I would say, though, that we serve,
Well, there's 4 state prisons that we serve, and then
the big ones, and then all the regional jails, or all the regional correctional facilities that are affiliated with the state Department of Corrections, and then a wealth of county jails. I mean, and all over the state, north, south, central, every corner of the state is represented. And so now there are some facilities where we don't get a lot of requests just because it's a very small facility, or maybe folks are not as aware of us in those areas, which is one of the reasons we wanted to come on SuperTalk, to let everyone across the state know that Big House Books exist.
Because regardless of what you think about anything in terms of prisons, nobody can say that getting good books with things that can either educate or entertain appropriately or whatever is a good thing to those that maybe have a little time on their hands, for lack of better things. So this takes a partnership, though, Miranda, right? Like, these facilities have to work with you guys to be able to facilitate the in and out, because so it's not are y'all literally taking all the books to these? How is that working? Because that feels like a lot. That feels like a lot of like dropping off, picking up, all the things.
Well, we actually mail the books to the prisons.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we use media mail so that we get those discounted rates and stuff. And so we do send them out to the prisons through mail. And we are recognized by the Department of Corrections as an entity as well. So we've been able to pretty easily send to any of the facilities that are directly under their jurisdiction, thankfully. But that's another thing, we always tell people, like, yes, we love your book donations. We definitely need them, but a big need is postage funding. So we always try to let people know, like, hey, you can give us your books and stuff, but also, once we fill these requests and they're packed and ready to go out, sometimes if we don't have the postage to cover them, they'll have to sit on the shelf for a little while. So that's also a big need that we try to stress to people, like, you can help that way as well.
So, Holly, where are all these books? Where's y'all's library? Because now I'm starting to feel like these are volunteers. I'm starting to feel concerned. Somebody's got a big warehouse somewhere in their backyard.
It is a warehouse space, but it's quite small. And so, to Miranda's point, we do have we have a limited storage area. And so we are very intentional about the collection that we curate. And the collection of books that we try to keep on hand reflect what people inside the prison are asking us for. And so we do have an accepted titles policy. It's on our website, and we try to publish it pretty frequently, updated on our social media, so that people understand what type of books and titles would be most useful to us. Because when we get in a situation where we're just getting a lot of books that we can't really use, what we will do then is just reach out to prisons to see if they will take direct bulk shipments to help stock those prison libraries. But our core mission is to provide one package of books to one specific inmate who has written us a letter, so that they always have those books on their person, because many times libraries are not open, right? They're not staffed.
So this isn't like a check-in, check-out thing? Because that was my next thing. No. Like, who's handling the electronic, like...
we are basically a mail order service.
Okay. Well, I mean, then that means, too, if it's something that they're interested in, and I guess that I should ask, like, what are those things? Is it law-based? Is it educational? Is it, hardcore entertainment in terms of, like, fiction? Like, what do we...
It is everything under the sun. We literally were sitting outside talking about the most requested things. I mean, everything from, dictionary. Dictionaries are a big one. People needing to learn how to read and how to communicate. Comic books and graphic novels. Those are kind of like the gateway to reading, right? Especially if you're a new reader or a young reader. That really gets people energized to read more. All of your popular authors, so a lot of names like John Grisham, James Patterson, Lee Child, Greg Iles, Stephen King. Westerns are huge.
Oh, yes, Westerns.
Science fiction. Oh, man. Yes. Like, we cannot keep those books on our shelves. But also things like self-help, right? Self-help books, I want to be a better person. Religious devotionals, huge need for us. Not so much Bibles and actual, like, core religious material. We get those freely.
I would say you probably
But those devotionals and those things that you have to purchase, those are most requested as well.
So how many letters do you have coming in monthly?
Hundreds.
Really?
Yeah. Hundreds weekly, honestly. Yeah. I mean, I check the mail twice a week, and it's packed. out.
Is it the same P.O. box that it started with?
Yeah.
Do you still have some of the same over the last 10 years? Do you still have some of the same inmates that are writing you?
We serve inmates that will be incarcerated for 2 months, and we serve inmates that will be incarcerated for the rest of their life. So, yes.
So interesting to think about. We're so alike, then we are sort of different. Even if you're not in prison or you're out, you can connect with a book or learn something through a book. And we're learning a lot about Big House Books, and we've got more with them. We're also streaming from that SuperTalk Mississippi app. We hope you have downloaded that. Of course, you can always find us too on that local SuperTalk Mississippi radio station. Don't forget about watching us on your computer, your mobile device. Just head on over to SuperTalk TV. We're continuing to learn about Big House Books. It is a nonprofit, volunteer-only organization that sends free books by request to prisoners in Mississippi's correctional facilities. And Holly Smith and Miranda Vaughn are joining us to continue to explain it. So the big aha for me, ladies, is that you are not a library. Like, I was thinking, gosh, y'all have some catalog system and it's mailing it back and forth. And so your hope is to create, I guess, some kind of connection with prisoners in the form of like they're requesting books from you. You're getting to send them to them. It's theirs. They get to keep it, read it as many times as they want to, or pay it forward, or however. It's in sort of that way, which I think is really interesting. Okay, you were talking about the representation of the books requested. Westerns, we could sit here all day, and that probably would not have been like the thing on my top list. But it goes to show that the individuals who are incarcerated still like the same things we do. The difference is we're probably just watching them versus they're, not forced, but I guess forced to read them. What else does what they're requesting sort of tell you, ladies, or sort of show about the people behind bars in Mississippi?
I think the major thing for me is so many people are trying to better themselves. A lot of self-help, a lot of law and legal reference, a lot of GED and test prep materials are requested. I never did my ACT or SATs, and I want to go to college. DIY and trade certifications. So when I get out, I want to be an electrician, or I want to drive trucks and do something purposeful. And so there really is a hunger for knowledge, I think, in this population in particular. And, they have all the time in the world. So why not fill it with books and knowledge?
Miranda, you also, one of y'all's core things is to promote literacy. Do you ever find that people are, I guess, graduating to tougher books to read? How would I say that? Like starting out, easier, but then you watch them be able to sort of graduate into other levels of books. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that does happen on occasion. Well, one thing we get a lot of requests for is fantasy novels, and a lot of those are series and stuff. So I know a lot of that, they'll write to us because they're like hooked on a series and they want the next one and the next one. But yeah, we also get people who just, they're exposed, because a lot of times we're not going to have exactly what they ask for, right? We are limited to what we have donation, because since we're donation based. And so sometimes they'll ask for a specific book that maybe they've seen another person, a cellmate or something, reading, and maybe we don't have that, but we'll send them something in the same genre or by the same author. And so then they'll be exposed to that new book, that new author, and want to read more of them. So we do definitely see like patterns like that, trends that go on, and yeah, a desire to like, oh, I really loved that, I want to read more. Or, maybe they read a fiction book about a specific time in history and they want a nonfiction book about, that thing that they learned about in that book. So yeah, we see that all the time.
You said Big House Books volunteer-based in terms of donations. Do y'all ever use monies donated to buy books, or is it like just for the shipping of the books?
Yeah, we have. So when we are running low on particular things that you typically need to buy new, that people just don't have freely sitting on their shelves to donate, things like dictionaries. We also provide very basic writing material in the form of composition notebooks. Those are usually like 50 cents around back to school time. So we try to purchase a lot of those at one time. But for the most part, I would say 95%, even higher than that, of the books represented in our warehouse are completely donated from the public.
Someone did text in on our C-Spire text line and ask for the address for donations for Big House Books, which we love. You did mention on your website as well as on your social media, you kind of have what you're looking for. Not every book sort of matters, but still you guys will find a place for whatever book gets sent. So is it an easy address, or would you like for us to, you can say it real quick if you want to.
Yeah, it's just P.O. Box 55586. Jackson, Mississippi 39296.
And we'll make sure that also gets in our Good Things Facebook group for that individual who wants it. And then, too, for donating for postage. I think that's a cool part. Like if you don't have books to donate, but you love the idea of Big House Books. I mean, what's the average of your package when you like to cost? Like when you, I know it depends on if they're getting dictionaries and law books versus a couple of romance novels, but what's sort of that average that it costs to ship to an inmate?
It's really cheap. It's $5
really?
a package.
I was thinking more like 20. So I mean, if you tossed Big House Books at 20, that's 4 inmates.
You're making a huge impact.
You're making sort of a huge impact on that way. This is a neat sort of thing. Miranda, how did you find your way to Big House Books?
Well, I was actually new to Jackson back during COVID and all that, and I was just trying to find a place to fit in. I come from a very small town, and very community service oriented. And so being around here, I was like, where can I volunteer? Where can I meet people? And I have a library background. I used to work for the Library Commission. And so I found out about Big House Books through them and did a book drive for them, started volunteering with them. And I tell everybody this happened with me. I think this is the way to go. You show up one time and you're hooked. And so that's kind of what happened. I showed up and I was just so impressed with the system. The people that were there were just the volunteers and stuff are just the best volunteers in the world, in my opinion. And so it's just sort of a nice community to get involved in, and it was wonderful being new to the area to get involved in something like this.
So Holly, I'm sure more volunteers would be great too. If someone listening, especially in the central Mississippi area, would like to connect, what can a volunteer expect if they connect with Big House Books?
Absolutely. And I will say we do have groups come from all over the state. If they come to visit Jackson and they want to do a service project, we've hosted church groups, civic groups from all over the state. So yes, please come to Jackson to volunteer with us. We are there every Sunday from 12 to 2. That
Where's
is our
there?
It's 133 Millsaps Avenue. This information is also on our website, right behind Millsaps College in the Midtown neighborhood, very central in Jackson. But every Sunday from 12 to 2. But we also have the ability to host a private party if you have a civic group that wants to come visit us. And literally all you have to do is show up and we put you to work. It is an extremely organized process. Every single job that we have available has a job aid, and it's just a one-pager. You read it. It's very self-explanatory, and we put you to work for 2 hours.
And then you're organizing, probably putting together packages.
Everything
sort of that
from
kind of thing.
shelving to actually getting to read the letters word for word that people have written us, picking the books that will fulfill that request, logging those books in a computer system, printing out a shipping label, and then packing those books and taking those packages to the post office.
All very helpful things. I can see where I think it'd be great for. Do y'all take like high school students in that sort of way? Yep. Holly, how did you find your way to Big House Books?
So I'm an accountant by trade, and so the original founders were good friends of mine. And at the time, they approached me about helping them set up their IRS paperwork to get the 501c3 designation, and just to make sure that the $5 and $10 donations they were getting from their friends and family were accounted for, and that we could put our thumb on everything. So I just got involved just from the accounting perspective. But then once I kind of figured out more, I really fell in love with the process and have been volunteering pretty consistently for the last 10 years or so.
How many core volunteers are there that kind of help make this go round?
Probably about a dozen, I would say, core consistent that are usually there. You can see the same faces represented every Sunday. But then we also have volunteers that maybe come in for a period of time because they're trying to get volunteer hours or they're doing a service project. And then you may not see them for a few months, but then they'll eventually come back. It really runs the gamut.
How many books do y'all average a month or a year? Or if you Miss Numbers lady, Miss Ish. Let's put a big ish on that.
Yeah, so I would say we probably average anywhere between 80 to 100 packages a week, which you can times that by 3 books in each package. So about a maximum of 300 books getting into the hands of people that are incarcerated every week.
And the cool part to me is that they're reaching out and asking for it, right? Mm-hmm. Like it's not you're seeking out, hey, you want, obviously there's a little bit of advertisement, we're here, but y'all really like connecting with the ones who take the responsibility of making a letter, sending it to you, reaching out saying, like, this is something I want. And when they do that, then they're going to look forward to reading it. They're going to take pride in it, sort of keep it. And that's what you want. And nothing. You want them in a book, like you want like books on their bedside, or being able to be stimulated, or think, or learn, or and sort of all those things. Well, we're getting a lot of requests for the website and the PO box and all of that on our text line. So that website, where is that, Miranda?
It is bighousebooksms.org.
And you can find the list of approved books. You did mention paperback only, but that is because that is a standard for the prison system. And then, and then you can sort of see which books, good or not, or whatever it may be. Well, you ladies, it was so nice meeting you and what you guys are up to. I appreciate your time. Again, that's bighousebooksms.org. I think this is just the first of many conversations. Well, but you guys stick with us. We got movies coming up next with Tanya.